followed me here. You are stubborn, and I admire you for that. But you should never have come. I have restored the Archons to life, just as I promised.
All this for what? To win a crown?
Yes. To take back this kingdom, as is my right. The Archons are not all that has returned. The power of creation still lives in this grove, and anything can be born anew. Even the creator gods themselves.
One of her mother's gods. She's called it back to life.
voices of my mother's gods. I cannot hear them anymore. Not even a whisper.
They are lost. You will not see them or hear them ever again.
You lie, child! Or whatever you truly are behind that innocent face!
No, Jeyne Kassynder. I speak the truth. What remained of your mother's gods has been destroyed, and the power of creation has fled this grove. It will never return.
You told me that this forest grew from a seed of the first creation. Is it dead then?
That cannot be. My mother searched for thousands of years, and this was the only remnant of her gods that she ever found.
The power in this forest might have been used to restore the old gods and all their servants to life. Not the twisted half-life that you gave them, Jeyne Kassynder. A true rebirth, as they were at the dawn of the world. But you called upon that power to destroy, not to create. You twisted the power of creation to your own ends, until all that was left was an empty shell, rotted from within. And now, it is gone.
And the Archons I fought in the forest? The ones that Jeyne restored to life?
Dead, wilted like blossoms, and scattered to the wind. When you slew the reborn god, all Jeyne's creations were undone. In time, the forest will recover. But it will be ordinary, no longer the Morn wield, with the power of creation at its heart.
The forest was already corrupted, even before Jeyne tried to call the Archons back to life.
The first time Jeyne called on the power of the old gods, it was to murder Hugh Montbaron 30 years ago. She knew she was misusing that power, but she was too full of anger, and she didn't care. After that, the Mornwield grew rotten and sick. All its potential for good was lost.
Why did this power respond to Jeyne and no one else?
Jeyne's mother was first sister. When she died, her fire passed to Jeyne. The first sister stood at the right hand of her gods. Only pale shadows of their minds persisted in this grove, but they remembered her. That is why Jeyne saw her gods in visions and dreams, just as her mother did before her. And that is why Jeyne could unlock the power that was buried here.
We have a decision to make. What to do with Jeyne.
Wait. I have a question, and I may never be able to ask it again. I was born in this grove 30 years ago, was I not?
Yes. I found you here, on the day the Legion died, and I carried you to the forest's edge.
So the Creator Gods, whatever remained of them, they called me back to life.
That may be. Yes.
If that's true, it must have happened quickly. Soon after Jeyne destroyed the Legion, but before the forest became corrupt.
Perhaps the Creator Gods knew that they were doomed, and they wanted Anjali to destroy them, to undo Jeyne's mistake.
If that is true, then at least I've honored them. Thank you. Your words give me comfort.
And Jeyne, what of her?
As long as she lives, Jeyne is a threat. A sword hanging over our necks. The Legion will never be safe. Not until she is dead.
I expect no mercy from the Legion. Do as you like.
Before I pass judgment on you, I want to know why you acted as you did. Honestly, and in your own words.
Why did I murder your father? That is what you want to hear, is it not? I was young, full of anger. My own father was dead by the Legion's hand. So I raised an army, I swore to avenge him myself, if I had to carve my way through every chapter house in Ebb. If the other Legionnaires had handed over Mont Baron, I would never have hunted them down. But they were so stubborn, so loyal to their chief. That was wrong of me. I should not have punished the whole Legion for Mont Baron's sin.
The Mornwheel was sacred to your people, and especially to your mother. Why would you confront the Legion here?
Mont Baron lured me to this place. Somehow, he knew what I was. And he knew that this forest was sacred to me. He believed that I would never dare to strike him down. Not in the presence of my mother's gods.
He was wrong. You used the power of the Mornwheel against him.
Mont Baron was so arrogant. So sure that he'd outmaneuvered me. That smug look on his face, with no hint of remorse for what he'd done. That was what doomed him, most of all. I will never understand why the forest allowed him to enter, when so many others were kept out.
Perhaps your gods, or what was left of them, felt pity for the Legionnaires and tried to save them.
So my mother's gods were asking me to be merciful. That is what they meant by allowing the Legionnaires to shelter in this grove? I never thought of that. If that is true, then I failed them.
You're sorry for killing the Legionnaires, but not for killing my father.
I take no pride in the pain I caused you. But I am not sorry for the death of Hugh Mont Baron. No, I would kill him again. He murdered my father, and I don't care what his reasons were. You asked for honesty. There you have it.
You've told me why you destroyed the Legion, but why fight a war with the Queen?
I will answer your question with one of my own. Do you believe that Rosalind would make a stronger queen than me? My father was a king, my mother a chief among her people and chosen of her gods. I have made mistakes, yes, but I know how to lead. And Rosalind, she has the heart of a lamb. Would you trust the rebuilding of this kingdom to a sheltered little girl?
Rosalind is stronger than you think, and stubborn as well.
Stubborn? Yes, I suppose she must be, to stand against me for so long. But she is still young and untested. You may think that she is strong, but she has never ruled in her own right. Now you expect her to rebuild a kingdom, with only a few scattered Legionnaires to help her. I warn you, that will be an even greater challenge than defeating me.
I have no more questions. I've made my decision.
And I am ready for your judgment, though I know what it will be.
No, you won't die today. I promised Rosalind that I'd spare your life.
Little Queen Mouse. I owe my life to that cringing girl. That is a fine irony. Am I to be your prisoner, then? Paraded through the streets in a gilded cage?
Atone for all the suffering you've caused. Help us to rebuild the kingdom.
You are not the Legion I remember. They were arrogant, and they would never have proposed such a thing. Very well. You have my promise. I will use what influence I have to help you heal this country. Let the war between us end.
By those words, Jeyne Kassynder, you are bound to the Legion now.
It's over then.
For now, you deserve a rest. But it may be short-lived.
We need to build our strength and train more Legionnaires.
You will find many willing to join the Legion now. Even a few who might surprise you. And you will need them soon. The country is still divided, and the Legion has many old enemies who yet live. But you've shown yourself to be fair as well as strong. Whatever happens, the people of Ebb will stand behind you.
You and I started this together. Whatever comes next, I will follow where you lead.
We part ways then. I will be watching, and one day, I will see you again.
You bid farewell to the Radiant Youth, and he sent you back to our chapter house in Stonebridge, where I awaited your return. In the weeks that followed, news spread of Jeyne Kassynder's defeat. Her army scattered, giving us time to rest and regroup. Martin Guiscard returned safely from the Spire, along with Meister Wolf and the Automaton army. Only a few weeks later, elections were held in Stonebridge. Meister Wolf, who had been so public in his support of the Legion, almost won the office of mayor. But he was defeated in the end. Many people had wanted the dapper old gent to hang. They resented the fact that the Legion had spared his life, and they blamed poor Wolf. After the humiliating events in the Foundry, Meister Castle was forced to resign as Guildmaster of Ironmongers. The Cyclopses negotiated a new contract for higher wages, and with the help of Meister Fiddlewick, formed a new workers' union. For the first time in 100 years, they were permitted to leave the Foundry and spend their newfound wealth in the markets and taverns of Stonebridge. Cyclopses are becoming an increasingly common sight in Stonebridge, and many believe that they will eventually take their place as equal citizens of the town. Archambault du Payen, formerly known as the Dapper Old Gent, proved a valuable addition to the Legion. His knowledge of Legion magic allowed us to retake control of the Sentinels that had long guarded our chapter houses and estates. But the Gent couldn't leave our chapter house without drawing an angry mob. His confinement started to drive him mad. So he returned to his beloved causeways beneath an endless sky, and he dwells there still. With the reopening of the Heroes Crypt, pilgrims returned to the Rukenval, and merchants followed. The following winter was harsh, just as Lazar Basili feared. But thanks to the trade from the south, the people of Ravensrill stayed warm and fed. When spring came, many more pilgrims arrived, and the town of Ravensrill grew wealthy again. Lazar and his people built a new stone wall around the town, and reclaimed their abandoned houses and farmsteads from the forest. It is a happy change of fortune for a long-suffering town. In his last letter to me, Lazar added one other piece of news. Gunderic Manor has a new mistress, a witch called Leona. The manor has become a gathering place for scores of Lescanzi witches, many of whom are apparently quite beautiful. Lazar reports that the young men of Ravensrill have also begun frequenting the manor, much to the irritation of their mothers and wives. Since the local men will not hear any talk of banishing the witches, it appears that Leona and her people have found a new home, which was perhaps what she intended from the start. Queen Rosalind abandoned Glitterdelve, embarking on a tour of all the cities and towns of the West, meeting as many of her subjects as she could. The Queen showed all the energy of youth, and I think she fully expects to reunite the country in a matter of months, not years. Reality may not be so kind as Lord Devonsey has tried to make her understand. In truth, the future of this country depends more upon what we decide. If she doesn't have the Legion behind her, the Queen is only a single voice, well-meaning though she might be. As for Devonsey himself, I think the man was impressed by your decision to spare Jeyne Kassynder, as the Queen had asked. When he last visited Stonebridge, he spent a great deal of time in our chapter house. I believe he might actually be willing to rejoin our ranks, if we choose to accept him. Rajani and her sisters returned to Stonebridge, quietly and carefully disguised. Jeyne Kassynder's defeat affected them deeply, though not in the way I expected. Their devotion to Jeyne was replaced by a deep admiration for your companion, Anjali. I think they saw in Anjali the leader they should have followed all along, and they have lately expressed a desire to join our ranks. I maintain my suspicion of any Archon who once followed Jeyne, but I believe that redemption is not impossible, even for them. Jeyne Kassynder was as good as her word, though I had my doubts at first. She returned to the cities and towns of the East and urged the people to end their war with the Legion and the Crown. Jeyne's repentance was heartfelt, and many were swayed by her words. But others have not been so compliant. The Church Synod in Bisselberg, who once called Jeyne a saint, have declared her apostate and threatened her life. Though Jeyne refuses bodyguards of any kind, Queen Rosalind fears for her life. And if anything befalls her, our gains in the East may yet be lost. As for the Legion, the rest of our story is yet to be told. We have a nation to reforge, a fellowship to rebuild, and old enemies who would see us destroyed. And we have questions to decide. Who will assume true power in Ebb if the nation is restored? And who will take the mantle of Grand Master? But these matters I leave for another chronicle and another time. Whatever happens, know that you will not face the future alone. The Legion will stand by you, always.